So tell us a little bit about the Geniza and maybe what's distinctive about the Ottoman Geniza.
The Genizah, the Cairo Genizah, is the famous collection of documents and papers related to the Jewish community of Egypt over a thousand-year period, from the 10th century through to the late 19th century. These were old and worn out documents for the most part, and the conventional wisdom is that you did not want to destroy any document that contained either the name of God or references to God. So instead, they were deposited in the first instance in a specially built storeroom in the Ben Ezra Synagogue, which is located in Fustat, which today is a far southern neighborhood of Cairo. But we know now that the corpus also includes materials from other synagogues and from Jewish cemeteries in Cairo and vicinity. They aren't there anymore because in the late 19th century, they were removed from Cairo by various scholars and antiquarians and relocated to various collections in Europe and the United States, which is where they are now. Um, as for the Ottoman era material, there are several things that distinguish it from the much more copious and better studied medieval material. By medieval, I mean roughly 10th through 13th centuries Common Era. The first thing is a greater variety of languages. The medieval material, as you well know, is mainly in Judeo-Arabic, that is, Arabic written in Hebrew letters, Arabic in Arabic letters, or Hebrew in Hebrew letters. Um, you have those languages in the later corpus as well, but you also have a number of documents in Ladino, that's Spanish written in Hebrew letters, because of the influx of Jews, not only to Egypt, but to all other Ottoman provinces and to the imperial capital, um, of Jews who had been expelled from the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal, in the 1490s. Um, you also have a small but not insignificant number of documents in Ottoman Turkish. And that was a surprise to me. I hope to say more about that in a minute. Um, among the Judeo-Arabic documents, the Hebrew handwriting in the later period is notoriously difficult to read. It's what my Ohio State colleague Daniel Frank calls a Sephardic cursive. Um, and it's for most people more difficult than the Hebrew script of the medieval period. That's the main reason I've chosen to focus in this book on Arabic script documents, because I think it would take me for the rest of my natural life to become comfortable with the Hebrew hands of that era. Um, the other big distinguishing feature is there is very little reuse of paper in the Ottoman-era documents. As you know better than almost anyone else in the world, a common feature of the medieval documents is that a document that was written, say, in the 11th century might be turned 90 degrees, and the margins used maybe even centuries later to write something completely different. Or the verso, that is the flip side of the document, might be used centuries later for some other purpose. There was also use of palimpsest, that is, the original writing would be erased or somehow scratched out and effaced, and the space would be used for new writing. There was also, and again, you're the expert, purchase of used chancery documents from the Egyptian government. Uh, the blank spaces would simply be used, often with the original writing still present, for documents in Judeo-Arabic or what have you. You don't really see this for the Ottoman period. Um, in most documents, either the verso is blank or it is related to the recto, that is the front side of the document. Marginalia are either a continuation of the text on the recto or somehow related to it. Couple of reasons for this. Paper was much more available in the Ottoman period. It was being produced in the Ottoman Empire as well as imported from outside. And also, there seems to have been a greater selection of what documents went into either the Ben Ezra storeroom or the well-known Jewish cemeteries. And that's because these areas of Cairo were no longer the hub of Jewish life. So a selection would be made. The important papers of a Jewish dignitary who died, for example, would be taken some distance to these places, which implies that there are other buried documents or stored documents that either haven't survived or have not been found, which is always possible.
Yeah, that was actually one of the most interesting things that I learned from your book that I hadn't realized before is that there was sort of a different life cycle or afterlife of the Ottoman era documents that rather than being put directly in the Ben Ezra Genizah chamber, they were taken to the cemetery of El Bassatin and essentially buried, like interred, along with the dead human beings. And it
Or
was only in
separately,
the
so separate portion of the cemetery, probably not with the body, I don't think.
not next to the body.
I don't think
Um,
it's possible, but I don't think so.
and it was only then in the 1890s that the caches got kind of mingled together, it sounds like. Is that correct?
Yes, that's not my finding. It's the researcher Rebecca Jefferson who wrote this incredible book published in 2022, I think, The Cairo Genizah and the Age of Discovery in Egypt.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So, that suggests that we have to kind of envision not only a slightly different life cycle for the documents once they kind of outlived their um, useful lifespan, but also presumably different patterns of deposition. So, like, have you noticed with the Ottoman documents that there is a greater quantity of official documentation? Um, what have
The,
you found in terms of patterns of deposit?
well, I could explain some of the genres, and the short answer would be yes. In fact, for this, I will attempt to share a screen. Yeah, so there are quite a few, at least in this corpus, and bear in mind it is Arabic script, so you would expect more government documents given that selection. Um, Court case summaries, like the oldest of the documents in this book from the late Mamluk Sultanate, and the latest one from 1829, when Egypt is already under the rule of the autonomous governor Mehmed Ali or Muhammad Ali Pasha. Court case summaries, letters and petitions to government officials, often the governor of Egypt for the Ottomans. Um, and I think because these documents were official, they were saved, and they often belonged to prominent members of the Jewish community. Um, and so that could be one reason why they were deposited. This is all very speculative at this point. I mean, we don't have hard and fast rules on what got in and what did not. And because of the uncertain provenance of some of these documents, did they really come from the Ben Ezra synagogue? Did they come from the Bassatin? We don't really know because of the nature of the collection process in the late 19th century. Um, we have to speculate on why these things ended up in the Geniza. The documents themselves usually don't tell us.